More than 3,000 fetuses are being aborted in India after they identified that they're females. According to the statistics of 1996, US Department of Justice, 2,730 women are being raped every day. Every 32 seconds, one woman is being raped. I've been raped in US till the time I'm here. Islam has the solutions to the problems of the West.
The biggest enemy of Islam today is the media. If it wants to malign Islam, it can do in seconds. And within minutes, the full world believes in the wrong information spread by the international media. The biggest terrorists of the world are the politicians. They are the people who cause all this for the vote bank. They pick up verses from the Quran and they quote out of context. And they tell the world that this Quran is teaching violence, is teaching inhumanity. Media today is the most important tool. Rather, media today is the most important weapon in the world. It can convert black into white, day into night, hero into a villain, villain into hero. Today, media is the most important weapon in the world. And as science and technology is advancing, media too is changing drastically. Today, we find on the international media, whether it be the international newspapers, the international magazines, the international radio broadcast stations, the television channels, the internet, we find there is virulent propaganda regarding Islam. We find that the international media is bombarding misinformation about Islam. It is presenting Islam in a totally negative manner. The Quran says if any human being kills any other innocent human being, you have killed the whole of humanity. And if you have saved any other human being, you have saved the whole of the nation. There is no verse in any religious scripture beside the Quran which gives this statement. Jihad, it comes from the Arabic word jahada, which means to strive, to struggle. So jihad basically in Arabic means to strive, to struggle. In Islamic context, it means to strive and struggle against one's own evil inclination. The fifth strategy used by the media is that they say things about Islam which are correct, but the interpretation is wrong. They say Muslims are fundamentalists, and because Muslims are fundamentalists, today humanity is in problem. Muslims are extremists, because they're extremists, humanity is in problem. Muslims are intolerant, because they're intolerant, humanity is in problem. What is the meaning of the word fundamentalist? Fundamentalist by definition means a person who follows the fundamentals of one particular subject. For example, if a person wants to be a good mathematician, he should know, follow and practice the fundamentals of maths. Unless he is a fundamentalist in the field of maths, he cannot be a good mathematician. If a person wants to be a good scientist, he should know, follow and practice the fundamentals of science. Unless he is a fundamentalist in the field of science, he cannot be a good scientist. You can't paint all fundamentalists with the same brush that all are good or all are bad. Depending in which field the person is a fundamentalist, you have to label him accordingly. For example, if a person is a fundamentalist doctor, his profession is to save hundreds of human lives. He is good for the society. On the other hand, if you have a fundamentalist robber, a fundamentalist thief, whose profession is to rob and to steal, he is bad for the society. You can't paint all fundamentalists with the same brush that all are good or all are bad. Depending in which field the person is a fundamentalist, you have to label him accordingly. As far as I am concerned, I am a fundamentalist Muslim and I am proud to be a fundamentalist Muslim. Because I know, I follow and I strive to implement the fundamentals of Islam. And I know that there is not a single fundamental of Islam which is against humanity as a whole. I challenge any human being to point out a single fundamental of Islam which is against humanity as a whole. There may be certain fundamentals the reason you may not be knowing why it is there in the religion. Because of that, you may think it is wrong. But the moment you know the background and the logical aspect, why this fundamental is there in Islam, there is not a single human being who can point out a single verse in the Quran, a single authentic hadith of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is against humanity as a whole. What is the meaning of the word fundamentalism? If you read the Webster's dictionary, it says that fundamentalism is a movement which was started by a group of Christians in USA in the early part of the 20th century by a group called as Protestants. Webster's dictionary says this movement of fundamentalism was started by a group of Christians called as Protestants in the early part of the 20th century. The church believed that the message of the Bible was from God. This group of Protestants, they said that not only is the message of the Bible from God, every word, every letter of the Bible is from God. So if someone can prove that every word, every letter of the Bible is from God, then this movement is a good movement. But on the other hand, if someone can prove that every word of the Bible, every letter of the Bible is not from God, then this movement is not a good movement. When we read the Oxford Dictionary says fundamentalist is a person who strictly adheres to the teachings and doctrines of any religion. Fundamentalist is a person who strictly adheres to the teachings and doctrines of any religion. But when we read the revised edition of the Oxford Dictionary, there is a slight change. The revised edition says that fundamentalist is a person who strictly adheres to the teachings and ancient doctrines of any religion, especially Islam. So word especially Islam has been added in the definition of the revised edition of Oxford Dictionary. This word fundamentalist was first used for the Christians. It was coined to describe the Christian, and today it is used for the Muslims. Why? The moment you hear the word fundamentalist, you start thinking of a Muslim, you start thinking of an extremist. And we Muslims go on the defense, no, I'm not a fundamentalist, I'm not an extremist. I say I am an extremist. I'm extremely kind, I'm extremely loving, I'm extremely honest, I'm extremely just. What's wrong in being extremely kind, extremely loving, extremely honest, extremely just? Can any human being tell me what is wrong in being extremely honest? You can't say if it benefits me, I'm honest. If it doesn't benefit me, I'm not honest. This is wrong. The Quran says every Muslim should always be honest. Extremely kind, extremely loving, extremely merciful. What's wrong? But you have to be extremist in the right direction. I am an extremist Muslim. What is wrong? We Muslims, we are apologetic. No, I'm not a fundamentalist. I'm not an extremist. I don't go on the defense. Today the media, they label the Muslims as terrorists. What is the meaning of the word terrorist? A terrorist by definition means a person who causes terror. A person who causes terror is called as a terrorist. When a robber, when a criminal sees the policeman, he is terrified. So for the criminal, the policeman is a terrorist. But in normal context, generally, terrorist is a person who causes terror in the hearts of the common human being, innocent human being. In this context, the policeman is not a terrorist. Only a person who causes terror in the heart of the innocent human being is called as a terrorist. And many times, two different labels are given to the same individual for the same activity. More than 70 years back, when India got its freedom, when Britishers were ruling India, India was a colony of the Britishers. More than 70 years back, there were many Indians who were fighting for the freedom. Now these people, by the British government, they were called as terrorists. But we common Indians, we call them as freedom fighters. We call them patriots. Same people, same activity, two different labels. If you agree with the view of the British government that they had a right to rule over India, then you have to call these people as terrorists. But if you agree with the view of the common Indians that the Britishers came to India to do business, they have no right to rule over us, then you'll call them as freedom fighters, as patriots. Same people, same activity, two different labels. When I have press conferences in India, And when the Indian journalists ask me that why are Muslims terrorists, so I tell them 70 years back, more than 60 years back, the Britishers, they called Bhagat Singh as terrorist. You know Bhagat Singh? Yes, yes. Do you consider him terrorist? No, no. Even I don't consider him to be terrorist. Now when the Britishers are saying Bhagat Singh is a terrorist, why don't you believe? No, because we know he was a freedom fighter, he was a patriot. I said even I know Indian history. Bhagat Singh was a patriot, he was a freedom fighter. Even I don't consider that he was a terrorist. I disagree with the British government, with the British news. Yes, yes, even we disagree. So now when the Britishers are saying, when the Englishman is saying Muslims are terrorists, why do you believe in them? Hey, 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 they laugh. When they call Bhagat Singh as a terrorist, you don't want to agree because you know the background. Now when they're calling Muslims the terrorists, why do you agree? You do a research. Do a research and find out. And in my talk, Yesterday is the Muslim Monopoly, I have given all the background of the past 100 years, all the terrorist attacks, majority done by non-Muslims. But the media portrays the Muslims more. Even Muslims do wrong act. I'm not saying all Muslims are good and pious. They pick up the black sheep and they portray as though they're exemplary Muslims. This example you can find several places. Same people, same actor, two different labels. Let me give you the example of USA. During the American Revolution, in 1775, at that time, the Britishers were ruling America, USA. At that time, in 1775, the British government called George Washington as terrorist number one. Benjamin Franklin, terrorist. George Washington, terrorist number one. Later on, when USA gets its freedom, George Washington is made the president of USA. Imagine terrorist number one of the world becomes the president of USA. Do you agree with the British government? I don't agree with the British government. I don't agree that George Washington was a terrorist. But that's what the media said. Imagine terrorist number one became president of USA.
Every human being can agree to disagree or disagree to agree. Dispute superstitions and refute the myth which is created around the word religion, which is misinterpreted, misconstrued, and misjudged. Let's wake up from delusion. And step into the world of reality with confidence. Find all the answers to confront or defy, reject or accept, dispute or challenge when caught in crossfire.
Misconceptions clarified, falsehood exposed, and truth revealed. Discover the reality with Dr. Zakir Naik in Crossfire every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. and repeat telecast at 10 a.m. India on Peace TV.
You have the example of South Africa. When the white apartheid government was ruling over South Africa, they had imprisoned Nelson Mandela and imprisoned him in Robben Island for more than 25 years. Later on, he's released. And when there is free and fair elections, he is made the president of South Africa. Imagine, terrorist number one. Later on, becomes the president of South Africa. And after a few years, Nelson Mandela gets the Nobel Prize for Peace. Imagine terrorist number one at one time gets the Nobel Prize for Peace. Not that he was bad and became good. For the same activities for which he was imprisoned in Robben Island and was called terrorist number one. Later on, after a few years, he's given the Nobel Prize for Peace. Can you believe? So we come to know whoever is in power, whatever label that person gives you, it gets stuck to you. Today media is powerful. Whatever media says, it gets stuck. Whether right or wrong is secondary. Whether right or wrong is secondary. If media portrays something today, everyone believes in it without verifying. Allah says in the Quran in Surah Hujurat, chapter number 49, verse number 6, whenever you get information, you check it up before you pass it on to the third person. Sixth strategy used by the media. The media has got double standards. In India, sometimes you see headlines in newspaper. A 50-year-old Arab, married a 12-year-old girl, comes headline in India. A 50-year-old Arab marrying a 12-year-old girl, headline. When a 50-year-old non-Muslim rapes a 6-year-old girl, it comes in news briefs. News briefs. Double standards. 50-year-old non-Muslim raping a 6-year-old girl comes in news briefs. And a 50-year-old man with permission marries a 12-year-old girl, it comes as headlines. This is media, double standards of media. What it wants to portray, it portrays. What it wants to highlight, it comes as headlines. What it doesn't want, news briefs, or doesn't come in the news at all. Seventh strategy of the media. What do? They pick up non-practicing Muslims who criticize the Quran, who criticize Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who criticize Islam. They pick them up and they make them famous. One very good example is Salman Rushdie. Non-practicing Muslim, wrote a book against Quran, against Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, against Islam, satanic verses. They gave him an award, made him famous, made him a millionaire. Another example, Taslima Nasreen of Bangladesh, wrote a book Lajja, criticizing Muslims. A non-practicing Muslim criticizes Islam, criticizes Muslim, they highlight her, make her famous, give her awards. So the strategy is to pick up non-practicing Muslims who are criticizing Islam and make them famous. And we, unfortunately, we get involved and we also make them famous. We made Salman Rushdie a millionaire overnight. The Muslims. There are strategies how you should deal with these things. There are ways how it should be dealt. The eighth strategy used by the media is, what do? That whenever a Muslim does a really good work, they hide his identity. They either call him, oh, there's a very good Indian who did so and so thing. Very good Indian. An Indian took out nuclear weapon, Abul Kalam. They will not say he's a Muslim. They will not say Muslim Indian, only Indian. When we read our science books, Aristotle of the East, Avicenna, it is Ali ibn Sina. They changed the name to Avicenna. Who is the father of chemistry? In our school days we read in chemistry, the father of chemistry was Geber, the person who distilled alcohol. It is Jabir ibn Hayyan. Geber, sounds like a Western name, Geber. It is Jabir ibn Hayyan, the father of chemistry who distilled alcohol. No, the word alcohol comes from the Arabic word al-gul, meaning evil spirit. It's the Arabic word. Alcohol is derived from the Arabic word al-gul, which means evil spirit. So the Western world, when any Muslim does good activity, they don't label him as Muslim. They label him as an Indian, maybe label him a Westerner, maybe label him a scientist. But if any black sheep of the Muslim community does something wrong, then they will say Muslim. Strategies. According to an article that came on the 16th of April, 1979, in the Newsweek magazine, one of the famous weekly magazine in the world, Newsweek, it gave an article that more than 60,000 books have been written against Islam in a span of 150 years. Between 1800 and 1950, in a span of 150 years, more than 60,000 books have been written against Islam. That means if you calculate, more than one book was written every day against Islam in the span of 150 years. And after 9/11, this has reached epidemic levels. Every day, several books are written against Islam. Several books. They are maligning Islam. And we find that the media maligns Islam. At the same time, as I said, the media can be used for good purposes as well as bad purposes. We Muslims, we are very backward. Wallah, we are backward. We are far away from using science and technology to convey the message of Islam. What we are doing is peanuts. Peanuts. Whereas if you see the Christian missionaries, they are very advanced. They use all different strategies, good and bad, all put together to spread their religion. I'd like to give a few examples. Can anyone read what is this mentioned? Can you read? Allah Muhammad. You can read? Allah Muhammad, you can read? Who says no? Raise your hand. No one. It is not Allah Muhammad, it is Allah Muhabba. It looks like Allah Muhammad, it is Allah Muhabba. God is love. This is printed by Christian missionaries and distributed. I do agree with you. Even if I show to an Arab, he will read as Allah Muhammad. Because they are used to reading. Same calligraphy. It looks like Allah Muhammad, but if you pay attention, it is Allah Muhabba. There is a ba here. These Christian missionaries, they are using deceit. Allah Muhabba. God is love. It's a verse of the Bible from the first epistle of John, chapter number 4, verse number 16, which says, God is love. And whoever dwells in love, dwells in God, and God dwells in him. It's the verse of the Bible. We Muslims, whenever we see anything Arabic, we kiss it, put it in the pocket. We put it onto a wall. It's the snake in the house. Many such things. All these, Islamic calligraphy, Arabic, kiss it, put it in the pocket. Christian missionaries, evangelists are using deceit to catch fish. If you find on the floor anything Arabic, we Muslim think it is sacred, verse of the Quran, kiss it, put it in the pocket. Once, there was a calendar given to me by a Christian missionary. Very good, beautiful Arabic calligraphy. 4-color job. Every month a new calligraphy. So there was an alim. He thought, he said, oh brother Zakir bhai, such a good calendar. Can I keep it? I said, go, take it. He keeps it and puts it in his house. After 1 week, I said, where is the calendar? He said, Zakir bhai, you give it to me. So I kept it in my house. Where is it? It's hanging on the wall. So I said, get it back. He said, why? Once you have given a gift, you can't take it back. I said, get it back. He gets it back. I said, what is this? This is Allah's kalam. Alim. Huh? It is not Allah's kalam, it is verses of the Bible. Like this, Allah Muhabba, not Allah Muhammad. And the Muslim thinks it is a Quranic verse. Taking out verses and contextualizing Kalimatullah, word of Allah, as though it is Jesus Christ, peace be upon him. Taking a verse from the Quran out of context. And when I told that alim, he was shocked. He said, Toba. Ask Allah for forgiveness. For 1 week he kept it in his house, not realizing it was a snake in the house. These Christian missionaries are using deceit. Now if I take this and if I print, this is 2-color, 3-color, some are 4 colors. If I print and if I give it during Hajj, I can sell everything for $10. You know, it will go like hotcakes. I don't intend doing it. I'm just giving an example that Muslims can be deceived so easily. Coming to the media. This is print media. Today, the country which has the maximum number of English-speaking people in the world is which country? Which country? USA. 350 million, 99%, more than 99% of the population of USA speak English. Do you know which is the second country? Maximum number of English-speaking people in the world? Which? Huh? UK. It's not UK, it is India, where I come from. I'm proud of my country. India. 125 to 200 million people in India speak English as their second language. UK is only 60 million, number 3 in the world. Do you know that Muslim organizations are there in USA, are there in UK, are there in India? I want to ask you the question that do you know one of the very famous magazine, the monthly magazine, Islamic magazine in USA, it is The Message, printed by ISNA organization. Horizon and Message are 2 magazines published by ISNA and ICNA, Islamic Circle of North America and Islamic Society of North America. Do you know what is the number of copies they print? Do you know that? Can you guess? In USA, the Horizon magazine and Message, few years back when I was there, they told me 50,000 every month. 50,000. Now maybe they might have increased. May have been 60, 70, 80,000, not more than that. In India, the Islamic magazine in English, maximum printed, a newspaper, monthly newspaper, Islamic Voice. Do you know how many copies? 10 to 15,000. How many? 10 to 15,000 maximum printed. English Islamic magazine in India, Islamic newspaper in India monthly is Islamic Voice. It ranges between 10 to 15,000.
The value of money in the hereafter will be measured by its proper use in the present.
يا أيها الذين آمنوا أنفقوا مما رزقناكم من قبل أن يأتي يوم لا بيع فيه ولا خلة ولا شفاعة.
According to the glorious Quran, one of the best ways to use your money is to spend it in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by spreading His message of Islam. Peace TV is a non-profit Islamic satellite television channel that is primarily dedicated for just that cause, the proper presentation of Islam. It's a great choice to invest in it and a golden opportunity to purify your wealth in a way that pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Support Peace TV. Send your zakat and donations to IRFI Al Ryan Bank, 47 Calthorpe Road, Birmingham, UK, B151TH. Fund account number 011323301. IBAN GB49ARAY 30008301 132301. Sort code 300083. Swift BIC code ARAY GB22. Please confirm your contribution at support@peacetv.tv.
Support Peace TV, the solution for humanity.
Let's discuss issues.
Welcome to Let's Talk. I'm your moderator.
Omar Dunlap,
Does Islam allow terrorism?
This is unfair and this is not true.
Dr. Mamdouh Muhammad,
Islam is the religion.
Because of the media, because of what's said about Islam.
Mahmoud Atiyah,
A huge amount of literature was written on the issue of what they call Islamic terrorism or fundamentalism is not a religious reason. It is a political, sociological.
let's share ideas. Let's discover the truth.
We need to put our hands together to show the mainstream Islam to people.
To clear doubts, discuss problems, and find proper conclusions. A unique and contemporary chat show. Let's talk. Tomorrow at 3 p.m. and repeat telecast at 1 a.m. India on Peace TV.
When things go wrong as they sometimes will.
English, the solution for humanity.
I'm asking you a question. Do you know the Christian missionaries, when they print, what quantity do they print? What quantity? Can you guess? Million. Million. How much? How much? 1 million. 11 million. 11 million. So you are all used to the Christian missionaries doing dawah. You know, in Nigeria, when I landed in Abuja and in Lagos, while coming from the airport to my hotel, I saw so many Christian mission organizations. So and so chapel, Churchill this, so and so many posters. I thought this is a Christian country, majority, maybe 99% people living here are Christian. I did not see a single Muslim poster anywhere. Nowhere. All, you know, this chapel, this church, this pastor giving, this Sunday talks, this. And I kept on counting, I lost count. I counted to 100, then I left counting. On the way, even next to my hotel, there's another chapel there. Early in the morning, singing going on. Do you know Christian missionaries? This is one of the magazines printed by the Christian four-color job by Jehovah's Witnesses, Watchtower. Watchtower. I have a copy which is about 4.5 years old, December 2008. They print every fortnight 37.1 million in 169 languages. 37.1 million. That means monthly it is 74.2 million. In 2008, 4.5 years back, December 2008. Now it may have gone much higher. Jehovah's Witnesses, fortnightly 37.1 million, every month 74.2 million. Same organization prints another magazine, Awake. It is a four-color magazine. Four-color. The Muslim Islamic was only two-color. The four-color. Four-color job. Four-color. This is Awake, a monthly magazine, 35.754 million every month. If you add both these magazines together, Watchtower, 37.1 million every fortnight, per month is 74.2 million, and this Awake magazine, every month, 35.754 million in 81 languages. That is in 169 languages, Watchtower, Awake in 81 languages. Both put together 110 million. One organization printing four-color job. Majority it is given free. They may keep just 2 rupees for namesake in India. Most of these magazines are given free. You write a letter, you get free. 110 million every month. Now it may have reached 150 million. We Muslims leave aside print, we can't even think. Leave aside printing. Our magazine, 1 color, 2 color, 50,000, 80,000, peanuts. They distribute books free throughout the world. Unfortunately, when we see a Muslim organization, they are miskin, very poor. Poor job. channels in the world today, out of which more than 75 are Arabic channels. Number 2 language is Urdu, maybe about 10 channels are in Urdu language. English, there are 3 channels. There are 1 or 2 which are localized in certain part of the world. There's 1 Bangla channel. There are a couple of Persian channels in Malay language. All put together about 100 channels. The Christian missionaries have multiple times more. Only in USA alone, there are more than 2,000 television stations, out of which more than 100 are Christian missionary channels. Only in USA alone. UK, all the other parts put together, there are several hundreds of Christian missionary channels in several languages in the world. We Muslims are very backward. They are very backward. The other media which is very popular is the internet, is information technology. And as I mentioned earlier, information technology, IT, is incorporating everything, is incorporating the material of the print media, the material of the audio media, material of the video media. You have got websites, you have got blogs, you have got Facebook, you have got Twitter. And this media is today competing with the satellite channel, and very shortly it will overtake the satellite media. The future today is of the information technology, but all the material of the satellite channel can be used also on the information technology.
أريد التلاقي وأرجو المعين وأشتاقكم كل آن وحين.
We are not addicted to dawah. Addiction implies a short-term fix. One doesn't need to get into the zone to talk about Islam. You do dawah because it is a natural result of your commitment to Allah. If you don't talk, people are going to walk. The most effective combination in the propagation of true Islam is found in Dawah Ilallah. Join me, Arif Islam, as we go through Dawah Ilallah only on Peace TV.
Follow the tips to make the task of Dawah result-oriented in Dawah Ilallah tomorrow at 11:30 p.m. and repeat telecast at 6 a.m. India on Peace TV. Students of Islamic International School showcase on eve of the IIS Annual Day event.
Welcome you to the grand finale of Islamic International School. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Performances